In this lesson, we'll talk about finishing the prop protection solid. After completing this lesson, you'll be able to use fillet, create a mirror feature, and create a mirror body. The next thing that we want to do is we want to round off the corners of our landing gear, and then we want to mirror it to the other side. Now we will also have to make sure that we mirror this cut as well. So let's start by creating some fillets. Now you can use F on the keyboard, or you can come down into Modify and grab Fillet. So the first thing that I want to do is fillet these two inside edges. I want to pull them in 10 millimeters and say OK. And then I'm going to use my marking menu, and I'm going to repeat the command, and I want to fillet these outside edges. Now as I drag these in, we need to decide how much we want to fillet these edges. And it's really going to be a visual thing. So if we look at it from the top, let's say that we want to change this to 20 millimeters. It really depends on how much material you want here and how it looks visually. So let's go ahead and look at it from a left view. Now if we change that to 35 again, you can see the difference in how it looks. So again, right now it's really more of a visual thing because this portion is just going to be for the landing gear. And since we're minimizing the amount of structure that we have here, we're really not looking for a ton of strength because no components are going to be mounted out that far. It's really just in order to absorb some impact. So a little bit of flex is going to be good in this case. So let's go ahead and let's use a 25 millimeter. And I think visually that's going to look pretty good for us. The next thing that I want to do is I want to create a mirror. So under Create, we're going to go down to Mirror. And the first thing that I want to do is I want to mirror features. The objects that we want to mirror, this is going to be the feature. And in our case, it's going to be extrude cut. The mirror plane in our case is going to be, let's go ahead and rotate it around a little bit. It's going to be our front plane. You can see a ghosted preview over here of what the cut's going to look like. And we're going to say OK. And notice that it removes that material. We're going to repeat the mirror, but this time we want to mirror a body. So the object is going to be this portion of our landing gear. And again, we're going to use the same mirror plane and say OK. Now under Modify, we want to combine the two. We can use the Combine operation, or under Create, we could also use Boundary Fill. For us, I'm going to go ahead and use Combine. And I want to put all three of these bodies together. Now you will notice that there's a target body and tool bodies. When you're using the join operation, it doesn't make that much of a difference. If you're using cut or intersect, it'll make a big difference because it's determining which body you want to cut away from or which sections you want to keep. We also have the option to do new component and keep tools. I'm going to leave both of these off because we're creating a body or combining a body inside of a component. So we don't need a new component at this point. And the tools we don't really need to keep because we don't need the individual bodies for anything. So we're going to say OK. And now we have body 10. And notice that all the solids are combined. Now if we zoom in, we can take a look and everything looks nice and smooth here. And again, that is because we planned this out so that we were extruding from a normal direction of the top plane. So that way we knew that all of our walls were going to be vertical. The only exception to that is going to be with this body because we thickened it, but we did go back and we trimmed it with a normal to the top plane sketch. The next thing that I want to do is I want to create one more mirror, and this is just going to be for visual effect. We want to mirror this body, and we want to mirror it across the right plane. And we're just going to do this to see what the overall design is going to look like, to see if we need to make any big changes or if we're happy with this shape. Now we're going to have to add a bit more material. We're going to have to remove some material. We're going to have to do some work to mount components. But at this point in time, the overall shape, the supports for the design, everything here is complete. So we've done most of the work up to this point to get our rough shape. And that's going to be the main role that a designer is going to fill. Now the designer is not necessarily too concerned with the structural integrity of the design or some of the aspects like the mounting details, screw holes, things like that. They're just going to be focusing on the shape and the form that we're working with. Let's go ahead and delete the mirror for now. And once we're done with all of our features to mount components, we'll take another look at actually mirroring the entire body over. But for right now, make sure that you go ahead and save so that way we can move on to the next steps.